When I was in the Army, I lived on base in an apartment complex with my new bride. She worked in administration, and we hit it off from the time we met. She had long blonde hair and those deep blue eyes you could get lost in. I could go on about that time, but I'll stick to the paranormal stories I have to share. This was over 40 years ago, so keep in mind we didn't have cell phones that we could just pick up and call with, or find any information right at our fingertips. We secured an apartment before our wedding day, so I got to carry her over the threshold of our very own place, our first time living together. Her dad had insisted we do it the old-fashioned way, and I was okay with that. For the first few weeks, things were great, aside from my long work hours and her schedule clashing with mine sometimes. We were living wedded bliss. There was no time for a proper honeymoon at that time. We took one later, when I was more established in the service and could take some time off. Either things were just too busy for us to notice our new place was haunted, or the ghost didn't start messing with us until the third week we were there. We finally had a day off together, so we were soaking it up. We had some stuff to do around the apartment, but we were also going to have a date night later. As my wife was sweeping the kitchen, I heard her scream all the way from the den, where I was tidying up and unpacking the last box left for that room at least. I went running, expecting the worst, but she looked fine, aside from being white as a ghost. "What happened? Are you okay?" I asked. "I was just sweeping and that glass came flying off the counter at me," she answered, in tears. "It's your favorite glass, the one your parents sent you," she added. I pulled her into my arms, reassuring it was okay. It wasn't her fault. I obviously sat it too close to the edge this morning. After calming her down, we cleaned up the glass and went to get ready for our date night. I surprised her with reservations for our favorite steakhouse, and then a walk through the park where I proposed. We got home rather late, losing time in the park, just talking about our future plans, as newlyweds often do. Even though it was late, we decided to end the night with a movie on the couch, but we fell asleep almost immediately right there. We must have been asleep only an hour or so when a door slammed so loudly, I was brought out of a deep sleep. Jumping in protective mode, I carefully moved away from my wife, not wanting to wake her, but noticed she was awake, eyes wide. "Stay right here, I'm going to check," I said. I knew my wife. She was going to follow eventually, but I had a few minutes head start in case there was a threat. I quickly noticed it was our bedroom door that was shut, which is where my weapon was kept, in a safe, when I was off duty. I was very aware how unarmed I was in that very moment. Approaching the door, time stopped as I opened it. There was no one in the room, so I made my way to the closet, opening that in one quick movement. But there was no one there either. My wife came tiptoeing in and made me jump. "No one here," I said. I checked the bathroom and hall closet. "No one there either," she said. A while later, we settled into bed and eventually were able to get to sleep. A few nights later, we were cleaning up after dinner, and my wife went to change into her pajamas while I finished drying the dishes. She let out an even louder scream than the previous day, so I went running to the bedroom. She turned to me, ghost white, and said there was someone watching her dress outside the window. It was a man, older than us, wearing his field jacket and a funny-looking hat. "He just appeared in the window while I was changing," she cried. As any man would, I went running out the door, telling her to lock it behind me. I ran, checking every bush, tree, alleyway, and crevice for the next 3 blocks, but there was no sign of anyone. After that, we made sure to have all the windows locked and blinds drawn. We made a report, but with just a description of a male person wearing a field jacket on an army base, there really wasn't much for them to go on. But it wasn't until a few nights later we discovered the person or thing we were dealing with was actually paranormal. We had invited some of our friends over for game night, which included adult beverages, a lot of them. So after everyone had left, we spent the better part of an hour cleaning up before we could head to bed. I don't remember what movie was playing, but we fell asleep about halfway through. I hadn't even had the energy yet to get up and change into pajamas. I was still in jeans and a t-shirt. It was somewhere around 1 a.m. when I was woken with just a general feeling of doom or danger. Opening my eyes, I was the one to scream this time. There was the man my wife described, field jacket, funny hat and all, standing at the end of our bed staring straight at me. My wife jumped up when I screamed and yelled at the man, "Get out of here, go, or we'll call the police, and don't come back." But the man just stood there, continuing to stare, before finally turning to leave a few seconds later. Instead of walking towards the door, he walked towards the window. "Hey, you heard my wife. The door's over there, bud." But he apparently didn't need the door. The man just walked straight through the wall towards the outside. We were both shaking and our jaws were dropped in disbelief. We didn't want people to think we were crazy, but we had to start asking around. No one warned us before we moved in, but the rumors on base were that an old army soldier who passed away in combat used to live in that apartment, and he could be seen and heard by tenants since. We lived there through the rest of the 12-month lease, but after that, we put in for a different apartment. The entire time we lived there, we saw or heard him at least a few times a week. He even went as far once as to tap me on the shoulder. While we didn't get bad feelings from him, he was definitely odd. Side note, my parents met when my dad was in the Air Force, so I had to share this story because it had a lot of similarities. They married and moved in together, and even had my sister at the hospital on base. Thanks for sharing your story. A peeping Tom ghost. There's always something new on this channel. If you have a paranormal story to share, email it to the address in the description below. Please like the video and subscribe if you haven't. And with that, I'll see you tomorrow, friends.